Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into something that honestly kind of blows my mind.
It's pretty wild.
I know. It's all this stuff about like unstructured data and how generative AI is finally like letting us actually use it.
Right.
Like I was just thinking about all the stuff that we deal with every day, emails and like social media posts.
Oh, totally.
Like even those voice notes that we send back and forth, like it's all just kind of floating out there.
It is, and it's like a gold mine that we're just starting to tap into.
That's what's quite right. So
Yep.
so like let's start with the basics. Like what exactly is unstructured data for someone who might not be like super familiar with all this tech jargon?
Oh, okay. So think about it this way. Structured data is like that nice, neat spreadsheet
Oh, okay.
with all the rows and columns and everything perfectly organized, like financial data.
Got it.
Unstructured data, on the other hand, is, well, it's everything else.
Okay, so it's the messy stuff.
It's the messy stuff.
Yeah.
It's the stuff that doesn't fit neatly into those boxes. It's your emails, your social media posts, images, videos, audio recordings, all of that.
So basically like 90% of our lives these days.
Pretty much. And here's the thing. For a long time, our AI solutions, they were really good at dealing with that structured data.
Yeah, you were saying that earlier, like that's kind of how AI got its start, right?
Exactly. Early AI, what we often call discriminative AI, excelled at handling structured data, making predictions based on labeled data.
Like if this, then that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it could spot patterns, make forecasts, but when it came to unstructured data, it hit a wall.
Okay, so it was like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
Kind of. It didn't have the tools or the flexibility to really grapple with that messy real world data.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean,
Well,
think about like trying to teach a computer to understand sarcasm in a tweet.
exactly. Or like the emotion behind a voice message.
Right. So how did we even get to this point where we can now like actually use this data?
That's where generative AI comes in. It's this new breed of AI that's designed to create new content based on the patterns it learns from data.
So instead of just like categorizing things.
Yeah, it can actually extract meaning, create insights.
Wow. So it's like it can actually make sense of the chaos.
Exactly. And what's really cool is that generative AI thrives on diversity and complexity.
Okay. So unlike older AI models, it actually gets better the more data you feed it.
You get it. It's like the more it learns, the more creative and insightful it becomes.
That's incredible. Okay, so generative AI is like the key to unlocking all of this unstructured data, but what can it actually do with it?
Oh, the possibilities are endless.
Okay, but like what does it mean for me, like for the average person?
Let's start with natural language text. Think about those customer service chatbots we've all encountered.
Oh yeah, the ones that make you want to pull your hair out sometimes.
Right. But generative AI is changing that. It's enabling chatbots to go beyond those simple scripted responses. They can understand nuances, hold more natural conversations.
So you're saying they might actually be helpful one day.
And think about all the text we deal with every day. Emails, reports, articles, generative AI can summarize information, pull out key insights, even identify risks in legal contracts.
Okay, so no more spending hours reading through those dense documents.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Now let's move beyond text images and videos. Generative AI can analyze these in ways humans might miss.
Oh wow, so like security cameras that can not only detect suspicious activity, but actually understand what's happening.
Or in healthcare, it can help doctors analyze medical images to spot early signs of disease.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, but what about audio? We've got to talk about podcasts and voice assistants and all that good stuff.
You're right on track.
Uh-huh.
Generative AI is revolutionizing speech recognition. Think about voice assistants that understand not just your words, but your accent, even your emotions.
So it can tell if I'm being sarcastic.
We're getting there. And it's not just that we're talking social media data, sensor data from your devices, even biometric data.
Biometric data, that sounds intense.
It is, but think about the possibilities like personalized healthcare plans based on your unique genetic makeup.
Wow. It feels like we're on the cusp of something truly transformative.
We are, but as with any powerful tool, there are also important considerations.
Right. It's not all sunshine and roses, is it?
Hmm.
What are some of the challenges we face in this brave new world?
Well, we'll dive into that in the next part of our deep dive, but let me just say, with all this personal information being analyzed, we need to be incredibly thoughtful about how we ensure privacy and responsible use of this technology.
Okay, listeners, stay tuned. We're about to explore the balancing act between innovation and responsibility in this exciting new frontier of unstructured data and generative AI. All right, so we're back, and before the break, we were like just getting into all the amazing stuff that's possible with generative AI and unstructured data.
Yeah, we've only just scratched the surface.
But I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about,
No.
some of the potential downsides too.
Oh, absolutely. It's like with any new technology, there are always going to be challenges and ethical considerations.
Like, I was just thinking about the whole data privacy thing.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I mean, we're talking about AI analyzing like our emails, our social media posts, our voices, even our faces in some cases.
It is a lot of personal information, and it's something we need to be very careful about.
For sure. So how do we make sure that all of this data is being used ethically and responsibly? Like, are there any guardrails in place?
Well, one important area is data anonymization.
Okay, so what is that exactly?
It's basically removing any personally identifiable information from the data before it's analyzed.
So like taking out names and email addresses and stuff like that.
Exactly. So, for example, let's say a company wants to analyze customer emails to understand common complaints.
Right.
They can anonymize the data by replacing names with unique identifiers and removing any other identifying information.
Okay, so that makes sense. But how do we make sure that anonymized data is still useful for analysis? Like, doesn't stripping away all those personal details also remove valuable context?
That's a great question, and it's a challenge to find that balance between preserving privacy and maintaining data utility.
Right, because you don't want to just like throw away all the good stuff.
Exactly. There are techniques like differential privacy that add a bit of statistical noise to the data to make
Okay.
it harder to identify individuals while still preserving overall trends.
So it's like blurring out faces in a photo. You can still see what's happening, but you can't identify specific people.
That's a great analogy.
Mhm.
But data anonymization is only part of the equation. We also need strong data governance frameworks.
Okay, so what does that mean?
It means having clear policies and procedures in place for how data is collected, stored, accessed, and used.
So it's about establishing rules of the road for how this data is handled.
Exactly. We need a clear set of principles and guidelines to ensure that data is handled responsibly and ethically.
Okay, but even with all of that, isn't there still a risk of like data breaches or misuse? I mean, we hear about these things happening all the time.
You're absolutely right, and that's why it's crucial to have robust security measures in place to protect data.
Right, so we've got anonymization, governance, and security.
Exactly.
What are some of the other challenges? I mean, we talked about the sheer volume of unstructured data. It's just so much. How do we even begin to manage all of it?
Yeah, that's a huge challenge. Just the sheer volume and variety of unstructured data can be overwhelming.
It really is.
One challenge is simply organizing and preparing this data for analysis.
Right, because it's not all neatly organized in spreadsheet.
Now, we're talking about text images, audio, video, sensor data, all in different formats.
Like trying to make sense of a teenager's text messages.
Yeah.
How do you teach a machine to understand all that slang and those emojis?
Uh-huh. That's a good point. And you're right, data preparation is a huge part of the process. We need to clean the data, remove noise and inconsistencies, and structure it in a way that makes sense for analysis.
So this isn't just a set it and forget it kind of thing. There's a lot of human effort involved.
Absolutely. And it can be very time-consuming and resource-intensive.
So it sounds like we're going to need a whole new generation of data wranglers.
We are. And the demand for these skills is only going to increase.
Okay, so we've got privacy concerns, the sheer volume of data, the need for specialized skills. Are there any other hurdles we need to be aware of?
Another big one is the potential for bias in AI models.
Oh, right, because if the data used to train the models is biased, the model itself will be biased.
Exactly, and that can lead to unfair or discriminatory outcomes.
So we need to be very careful about the data we're using and make sure it's representative and inclusive.
Absolutely. And that's why diversity and inclusion in the field of AI are so important.
Yeah, we need diverse perspectives to make sure these technologies are developed and used ethically.
It's not just about the technical challenges, it's about the human element too.
It's about using technology to make our lives better and create a more just and equitable society.
Well said.
So we've got a lot to think about. Data privacy, the volume of data, specialized skills bias. It's a lot. How do we navigate all of this?
That's the million-dollar question, and there's no easy answer.
I know, but we have to start somewhere.
We do. I think it starts with awareness, with having these conversations, acknowledging both the benefits and the risks, and demanding responsible development and use of these technologies.
I couldn't agree more. It feels like we're at a crossroads, and the choices we make now will have a huge impact on the future.
We are. It's an exciting time, but also a time for careful consideration.
So listeners, what are your thoughts on all of this? We'd love to hear your perspectives, but for now we're going to shift gears a bit and explore some even bigger, more mind-bending questions about the future of unstructured data and generative AI. Welcome back, everyone. It feels like we've been talking about all the amazing possibilities and also the challenges of unstructured data and generative AI, like, forever.
It is a lot to take in.
But, like, you know what blows my mind? We've only just begun to explore what's actually possible.
It's true. We're still in the early stages of this technological revolution.
Yeah, and it's like it's given us this whole new way of looking at the world.
Yeah.
Like we can certainly see these patterns and connections that were always there but hidden.
Exactly. It's like we have this new lens to view reality through.
So where do we go from here? Like what's next?
Well, I have one final thought, a kind of what if to leave you pondering.
Ooh, I like those. Hit me with it.
Imagine a world where generative AI can analyze not just the digital content we create,
Okay.
but also the physical world around us.
Okay, now you're really talking my language. So what do you mean by the physical world? Like, give me some examples.
So think about the way we move the objects. We use the changes in our environment.
Okay.
It's all data, and most of it is unstructured.
Right.
Generative AI has the potential to make sense of all of it.
Whoa. So you're saying like AI could one day understand not just what we say and write, but also how we behave, how we interact with our surroundings.
Exactly. Think about an AI that can interpret your facial expressions during a job interview to assess your confidence level, or track your eye movements to understand how you engage with the product.
Okay, that's incredible and maybe a little bit creepy, but I get it.
Yeah.
We could learn so much about human behavior, optimize how cities work, even monitor the health of our planet.
Right. Imagine AI that can predict traffic patterns based on pedestrian behavior,
That'd be amazing.
or personalize healthcare interventions based on an individual's physical activity.
It's like we'll suddenly have this X-ray vision for human behavior.
Yeah.
But wouldn't all of this require like constant surveillance?
That's a valid concern. And it's why we need to have clear ethical boundaries and strong privacy protections as we move forward.
Yeah, like Big Brother is not exactly the future I'm hoping for.
We need to ensure that the use of this technology is transparent, consensual, and always benefits people.
I think that's the key takeaway here, right? Technology is a tool,
It is.
and it's up to us to use it wisely.
Absolutely. We have to be mindful of the potential pitfalls as we explore these new frontiers.
So listeners, we leave you with this question as we move deeper into this world of unstructured data and generative AI. What role will you play in shaping this future? What ethical boundaries will you demand? And what incredible discoveries will you make? Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. Until next time, keep exploring.